Welcome back. Once again, adventurers, to Let's Play ChäoS Child. And in the last episode, Takuru was about to leave Heikyo Academy yesterday afternoon when he received a rather peculiar letter from a student called Yume Aozaki, who apparently has quite the reputation at Heikyo Academy according to Shinji, Serika, and Hanai, and apparently also Kazuki and Kurisu of all people. However, after an apparent phone call with Yume Aozaki, Taku tried to ring her again, and both times he got an ominous automated response message instead. And then earlier today, Taku was asked by Wakui to read a page from the book that the class was apparently studying, and instead found a passage that was more ominously directed towards him, even if it did ultimately turn out to be a delusion. It was clearly a message. And then, on top of that, Takuru ran into Uki Yamazoe in the hallway, and she was, for the second time, holding her D-sword. So yeah, I think it should be pretty obvious that Uki is the one responsible for Takuru's blatant good luck in this situation, and more besides. So the question is, when is it going to end?
そうか。
恥ずかしい話ですが。
You're trying to hide what you were really doing, but her cheeks went red with shame, and she turned her head downward.
それじゃあ私は授業に。
You were very suspicious. But for the second time, it looks like Takuru is going to let it slide for now. Uki bowed her head and then disappeared down the hall. That was no hallucination, Takuru Miyashiro. There was again. I was seeing things again. What was happening to me? It's almost as if we are truly trapped within a dream of sorts. Lunchtime came and I went to the club room like I'd originally planned. I was still thinking about the creepy thing I'd seen.
皆さんこんにちは。お待ちかね、壁標ランチボックスの時間です。今日も皆さんのお昼ご飯を彩っちゃいますよ。というわけで、しばらくの間お付き合いくださいね。
Don't think I've ever heard a lunchtime broadcast from the school before. Something tells me this isn't going to end well. The broadcasting club were playing their daily lunch broadcast. How many people actually looked forward to this?
さてさて、今日は11月5日。この日はなんと、あのツタンカーメンの王母が発見された日だそうです。
Huh, really now? I think the BBC actually did a very, or maybe not the BBC, or maybe so, they actually did a very interesting sort of drama documentary on that. It was very good.
そしてもう一つ、いいリンゴの日でもあるそうですよ。1105でいいリンゴ。わかりやすい語呂合わせですね。
Appreciation days. There are a lot of those. Also, it is the day before the Restoration Festival, obviously.
で でも最近はすっかり肌寒さが増してきて、リンゴっていうよりはこたつでみかんって感じかな。こたつの魔力ってすごいですよね。どんな怖い人でもこたつに入ると眠っちゃうんじゃないでしょうか。
I wouldn't put money on that.
こたつで寝るのってすっごく幸せですよね。私も一度寝ちゃうとなかなか起きられなくて、早く目を覚まさなきゃ覚まさなきゃって。
There it is again. That subliminal message urging us to wake up.
早く目を覚まさなきゃ、早く目を覚ませ、早く目を覚まして。
Yeah. That happened first with that text passage.
早く目を覚ましてタク。
Yeah, that is definitely beyond ominous. Somebody is trying to call out to Takuru, and there was a sudden glitching of our vision. What was that? Was someone calling out my name?
そこにいちゃダメ。早く目を覚まさないと戻れなくなっちゃうよ。
Yeah. We need to ask Uki Yamazoe the question we needed to ask her the first 2 times. What has she done? I won't be able to come back. What does that mean?
おい、それって一体。
さあ、それでは今日のリクエスト曲いってみましょう。最初の曲はファンタズムで。
Unfortunately, it seems like that window is past. But yeah. Yeah, that is something that Takuru you should not discount under any circumstances from this point forward. Also, this kind of phenomenon has actually happened before. Back at the Frisia building with Katsuko Momose, when she was looking after Uki before she ran away back to the underground facility. For some reason, Momose had experienced something that she swore was true, but something that was almost certainly not corroborated by both Shinjo and Mio Kunosato. The person responsible for what Momose went through was none other than Uki herself, who used it as a means of running away from Frisia and returning to the facility, not realizing that everyone there would have been taken away. Well, now I think it's probably high time I hit the nail on the head and basically said that that's exactly what Takuru Miyashiro is currently experiencing right now. We need to break free from this. The lunchtime broadcast was back to normal. All the other students were acting like nothing was out of the ordinary. They were discussing what anime was good this season or where they were going after school. Yeah, that's because those warnings were explicitly directed at us, and for very good reason. It was like that broadcast never happened.
やっぱりおかしいよ
Beyond weird. At this point, even I had to admit that something wasn't right. Was I going crazy? No, you're not.
タクルさん、どうしたんですか?
And of course, Uki's there again, right as that happened. I heard a voice and turned around. And I gasped again. Yeah, this is the third time Uki Yamazoe First time is could be, well, there is a saying. First is happenstance, second is coincidence, third time is enemy action. I believe Auric Goldfinger said that James Bond. Yeah, we need to get the truth out of Uki Yamazoe. Even if we understand that truth, we need to hear it from her lips. Uki was standing there holding a shining blade. Yeah, we can't pretend that we didn't see it this time. We can't deceive ourselves any further. Unfortunately,
どうしたんですか？
unfortunately, Uki can with her powers, but we cannot afford to be swayed any longer. Huh? I adjusted my glasses and took another look. No, this is no time to be swayed by delusions. Uki was in front of me, but she wasn't holding a D-sword. Her oval eyes went wide with surprise.
その、私がどうかしましたか？
Not necessarily. Your intent is to be commended. Unfortunately, your actions will not have the outcome that you think they will.
いや、なんでもないんだ。
Unfortunately, Takuru isn't trying to hold on to reality, it seems.
そうですか。
Maybe Uki's power has a better hold on his psyche than I thought. I tried to act calm, but Uki didn't seem satisfied.
その、ウキも物質だよな。
はい。
一緒に行こうか。
はい。
I walked ahead so that she couldn't tell how worried I was getting on the inside. Yeah. Looks like we're just going to have to play along, it seems. I could feel her following me from behind. It's all starting to unravel.
あ、来た来た。チャオス。
But someone is trying to contact us from the outside, it seems. Everyone was already in the room. And normally this would be a quaint situation, but that ominous feeling lurking at the back of our minds tells us different.
私お茶入れますね。
I watched Uki start to make the tea like always and sat down on my chair. How long are we going to be able to convince everyone?
なんだなんだ、でっかいため息なんかついて。まさか昨日の今日でいきなり彼女に振られでもしたか？
違う、そんなんじゃない。
Which is true, because, yeah, but if Takuru starts to think things through, he'll start to realize that everything that's happened was never real to begin with. I let my head droop down as I tried to think. What was happening to me didn't seem to make sense. Was it only happening to me? Looks that way. Either way, I didn't think I'd be able to solve this problem on my own. Which meant...
あのさ、ちょっと聞いてほしいんだけど。
どうしたの？改まって。
Part of me is tempted to consider the possibility that everyone here is experiencing the same delusion that Takuru Miyashiro is currently going through right now. But after what happened to Katsuko Momose, I'm gonna say that everything here that we're experiencing, apart from Uki, is a delusion, which would ultimately include everyone at Aoba Dorm and even Wakui himself.
あのさ、実は
And then I told them all about everything that had happened since last night. I can faintly predict as to what will happen. Everyone is going to look at Takuru with slightly confused, annoyed, or just vacant expressions. But only one person in this entire room will react differently, and that is Uki herself. I didn't mention Uki's name since she was right there, although I think that she is going to catch on regardless.
それって大丈夫なのかな。
専門のお医者様に見てもらった方がいいかもしれないわね。
うん。
Everyone started to give their own opinions.
私はあんまり考えすぎない方がいいと思いますけどね。ほら、気の持ちようってのもありますし。
That should be another red flag, because Hanai Arimura's ability, for better or worse, whether she likes it or not, allows her to perceive whether or not someone is telling the truth. If this was in fact the real Hanai Arimura, she would have automatically known that Takuru wasn't lying. Yeah.
そうそう。女の子から手紙もらって舞い上がってるだけだろ。
そうかな。
Maybe I was overthinking things. I hate to break it to you, Takuru, but you aren't. To be honest, I didn't want to think too hard about it. Maybe I just wanted to hear that everything was okay. I did feel a little better getting it off my chest.
タク？
あ、いや、参考になった。礼を言うよ。
What is Uki's reaction? I
もういい
wonder.
の？
なあ、それに企画の話もしなくちゃならないし、いつまでも僕の問題にかまけている時間もないだろう。
それはそうだけど。
それじゃあ改めて今後の活動についてだけど。
それじゃあ当面の活動目標は渋谷復興祭のレポートっていうことでいいわね。
Well, it's not like we had a choice since that was the condition for supposedly taking up Watabe's job. But even that was a lie. We ended up picking the obvious answer for our project. I've been opposed to it until now, but after what was happening to me, I honestly didn't care anymore. I'd have just been happy to do a cooking video. Even the excitement that I've been feeling for my after-school date was beginning to fade. Now we're on the roof. As the school day drew to a close, I kept turning my phone on and then turning it off again. Of course, I was thinking of calling Aozaki, but we're just going to get the same response again from the automated number. Yeah. Because none of this is real. My mood kept getting darker and darker as afternoon classes proceeded, and I didn't feel like I was up for a date anymore. It wouldn't be right to spend a date feeling like this, and more than anything, it'd be rude to her. Part of me wanted to do it another day, and part of me didn't want to waste this chance. I thought and thought, and...
やっぱり今日は体調が悪いってことにして別の日に伸ばしてもらおう。
as well get it over with then. I turned my phone on again before I could change my mind and tapped in her number. She didn't answer.
もう一回。
She still didn't answer. I kept trying, but she never picked up. Come to think of it, she would have seen that I called her last night, but she hadn't called me back. If you got a call from your boyfriend, wouldn't you normally either pick up right away or call back?
仕方ない。
If it were real, but it isn't. It might not be ideal, but it was better than blowing her off. I decided to visit the second-year classrooms. But I didn't know what Aozaki looked like. I only knew her name and phone number. I should have asked Ito first maybe, but there was no helping that now.
せめて有村がいれば。
She'd be able to tell me what class Aozaki was in at least. Or we could still go to Cafe LAX. I went to Arimoto's classroom, but I couldn't find her. She may have gone home already. I guess I just have to.
あの。
Yeah, bite the bullet.
はい。
I worked up what little courage I had and asked one of the girls walking by.
ちょっといいですか。
なんですか？
その、青崎ゆめさんのクラスってどこですか？
は？
だから青崎ゆめさん。
青崎？
That was strange. If she was the prettiest girl in school, she should have at least heard of her.
あの。
I asked someone else, but
青崎さん知ってる？知らない。てかそんな人2年にはいなくない？
of course there isn't. There wasn't. Arimoto had said that she was the prettiest girl in school, not just the second-year class, and so did everyone else. That wasn't true, was it? Uki Yamazori. Ito knew about her too, and he'd even been jealous of me. I talked to her last night on the phone. Except we didn't, did we? I decided to visit the first-year class just to be sure. Maybe I'd heard wrong and Aozaki was a first-year student, not a second-year student. But
いませんよ、そんな子。
what the hell was going on? How could there be nobody named Yume Aozaki in either grade, much less the entire academy? I decided to call Arimoto.
くそ。
This was the first time I could remember where she hadn't picked up the phone. Fine, I'd send a text. I waited but got no answer. What the hell? What was happening here? A black shadow started to press down on my heart. Did this have something to do with the other strange things that were happening around me? Or was my earlier guess right and Arimoto and the others trying to prank me? It's not them. I wasn't going to get anywhere sitting around all day waiting for an answer. I ended up going to Cafe LAX, where we were supposed to meet. If I went there, I should be able to find her. Even if it were a prank, my friends would all be there, eagerly awaiting my arrival. Either way, I'd learn something. Maybe the truth, perhaps.
も
Yeah, might as well get this over with. I went into the cafe and looked around from a slightly concealed vantage point.
何をしておる？
あ、いや、ちょっと。
Oh, it's you again, the cafe waitress.
まあよい。さっきからずっと待っておるぞ。
Wait a minute. She?
あ、そう。
Huh? Wait a second.
今なんて。
待ち人じゃ。ほれ、そこに。
What are you talking about?
あ、
I adjusted my glasses and took another look.
よかった。来てくれたんですね。待ってたんですよ、宮代先輩。
She was Yume Aozaki? Really? All thought evaporated from my mind. The world quickly lost its color and all the noise around me seemed to fade away. The only thing I could see was the girl in front of me. A shock like a gunshot went through my chest. Her silken hair, her long eyelashes, her oval eyes like stars, her perfect nose, her lips the color of pale cherry blossoms. Her chest was the perfect size, not too large, not too small, and her hips were curvy but not too curvy. Her skin was smooth and it glowed like there was a light shining from within her. And more than anything, her beautiful smile as she looked at me. Every part of her body seemed to have been blessed by the goddess of beauty herself.
前前。
先輩？
Yes, she was an angel. She was a miracle come down from heaven. Yeah, this is, she was customized to be exactly what I wanted. Yeah, but given the things that we've already experienced so far, this is beyond too good to be true. It was no exaggeration, it was the only way I could think of it. I was looking at the very incarnation of everything I'd ever wanted in a girl. What could I call this except a miracle? All the doubts in the back of my mind crumbled away like sand blown by the wind. All the girls in the lower classes at Hekio Academy that told me that they'd never heard of Yume Aozaki, but she was right here, right in front of me. Is she? What other factor could I possibly need? Plenty, I would add.
どうしたんですか、先輩？
This is beyond bizarre. Beyond bizarre indeed. You know what? I don't trust. I do not trust in the slightest. Everything was right in front of me. Believe and you shall be saved.
待った。
I don't trust this at all. As I took a step forward, I heard loud footsteps coming up the outside stairs. The footsteps stopped and then I heard the door open. I turned around and saw something ominous, perhaps. Who was that? I turned around. Riko Haida, even though you should be dead. I froze in place when I saw who it was. The temperature in my body dropped rapidly and my heart turned to ice.
Huh?
It was her. Riko Haida, the pyrokinetic I thought was dead. Wait, how did you know that she was Riko Haida? Yeah. Except to say that that phone call from Shinjo that supposedly didn't happen actually did happen. My stomach started to shake from the tension. The terror dried up my throat and all the nerves in my body seemed to short out. My knees were shaking. I needed to run. Or she'd kill me. She'd kill me. But where can we run to? Oh god. But the sheer hatred in her eyes overwhelmed me to the point where I couldn't move a single muscle. I couldn't move. Everything was stuck in place. My body wasn't moving, even though I told it to. It's all your fault. Die. The woman in front of me said nothing. But it felt like I could hear her whispering to me. A scream burst from my throat. And the next second, the flames. My body burst into flames. Strangely, there wasn't that much pain. But my brain was telling me clearly that I was in mortal danger. It was the terrible smell of scorching protein and burning hair. Burns do a lot more damage to the body than people think. Burns over just half the body were enough to kill you. From the intensity of the heat, I could tell that over 80% of my body had been burned. And there were probably third-degree burns too. Third-degree burn, a burn that damages all layers of the skin as well as the tissue underneath. Second-degree and higher burns require immediate hospitalization. A third-degree burn was bad enough that instead of pain, you felt nothing at all, because your nerves were completely destroyed. There was no way to save me. The pyrokinetics flames were burning me alive. I rolled around and tried to put out the fire as best I could, but it was simply the last impulsive struggle of my survival instincts. The fire was so hot that all the oxygen around me had vanished and I was starting to suffocate. Why was this happening? I thought she was dead. So why? Why indeed? As everything started to fade away, I could see Uki walking up to me, crying and sniffling. In her hand was the beautiful D-sword. The last thing I saw was the way it shone in the light of the fire. And we died. Uki Yamazoe bad end too. How very unfortunate. Well, that was a sudden turn of events, but that is going to bring an end to this episode of Let's Play Chaos Child. And when we return, adventurers, there is still much more that we need to do. Much more. As always, until next we meet.